remember now the nightmares Queen Mary endured when she entered the royal household. Oral score, no one was meant to know that she had travelled to Denmark from Australia. Mary Donaldson was already known in Danish weekly magazines but had never been to the country where her boyfriend the Crown Prince resided. Only the closest friends of Crown Prince Frederick knew anything. They helped the Crown Prince bring her to Denmark. It had been about 24 years since Mary Donaldson sat between two drunk, tired, and avidly smoking brothers in the Slip-In restaurant. It happened in Sydney during the Olympic Games in September 2001. Brother tried to convince her that he was an Olympic triathlon champion. The other was ready to laugh at that story. Poor her. Prince Joakim later said it was he who jokingly tried to convince Mary that he was an Olympic participant, but 28-year-old Mary struck up a conversation with another brother who introduced himself as Frederick. They danced, went into town talking for a long time, and took a taxi home. When Mary stood near her house, Frederick asked for her phone number, which he got, and kissed her on the cheek before returning to Denmark. The couple met as often as possible. They walked, swam at the beach, and ate sushi. They were both very drawn to each other. There was something inexplicably attractive about her. She was calm, had a deep voice, incredibly charming, and we talked together wonderfully. The relationship was maintained through phone calls, emails, and letters for the next year, but Crown Prince Frederick expressed his belief that it seemed too good to be true in his book. Mary Donaldson shared this sentiment, saying, "I always told myself I would like to find a man who can dance, ride a horse, speak several languages, swim well, and wear good shoes." Crown Prince Frederick secretly visited Mary multiple times, and they were able to keep their love a secret for nearly a year. However, on November 12, 2001, their world came crashing down. A journalist chased after Mary as she left work, shouting, "I know you're a friend of our Crown Prince." Then, the camera flash went off, and Mary felt as if time stood still. She was so shocked that she couldn't react. After that, Mary said, a wild hunt began. Photographers began popping up outside her house and place of employment. This was her first contact with Crown Prince Frederick's official life. Otherwise, he had tried to keep her at arm's length upon her arrival in Denmark, and a month later, she received yet another revelation regarding the Crown Prince's work. It was arranged in December 2001 that Mary Donaldson and Crown Prince Frederick would spend New Year's Eve in Denmark with their friends. However, the Crown Prince wanted his fiancée to avoid the spotlight, so he chose to keep the visit a secret. The Crown Prince, Jeff Honda's friend, and his wife Barrett picked up Mary from her Christmas vacation in Oxford and brought her to Hamburg. "I thought it was weird to travel all the way to the country, but I didn't know much about the quality of the press here." The snow melted, and at one point, Jeff Honda turned into a dark rest area, and out of nowhere, Crown Prince Frederick emerged in his automobile, according to Mary, who now claims to have been surreptitiously carried across the border and across Jutland. Mary walked over to his car and the two of them drove to Birkeljods in northern Jutland, where the Crown Prince's friend and estate owner, Morgan Scabo, was having a New Year's celebration. There, they joined many of the Crown Prince's friends in celebrating the holiday. At one of the parties, one of the guests taught Mary Donaldson how to count to 10 and shout, "Happy New Year," as she leaped from her chair, her first words in Danish. The following day, during the royal program, they continued the tradition of the New Year's table. It was at this gathering that Mary first laid eyes on her husband, who she described as divinely handsome. It was the year she and Frederick decided to fully and firm dedicate themselves to their relationship, and she moved to Denmark. Now the Danish press could follow the Crown Prince's girlfriend much more closely. One of those who followed Mary Donaldson from the very beginning was photographer Hannah Jewell. She vividly remembers her first meeting with the Crown Prince's girlfriend, which was, to put it mildly, chaotic. In August 2002, the entire Danish press stood ready outside the palace church of Fredensborg in hopes that Crown Prince Frederick would appear with his girlfriend at the wedding of his good friend. There were no cordons or press services covering the royal family back then, remembers Jewel. One thing she notices when she sees her photos from that time is that Mary Donaldson was simultaneously unsure and nervous. She walked slightly leaning forward and looked a little embarrassed at us with a light smile. According to the experienced photographer, Mary acted absolutely correctly. She didn't say anything because although the journalist's big dream was to get the new girlfriend of Crown Prince Frederick to speak out, Jewel believes it was good that she remained silent. She did exactly what she was supposed to do. Jewel says she smiled, behaved very friendly, but didn't say anything. In her opinion, it was absolutely perfect on Mary's part. However, inside the walls of a Milan Borg castle, Mary Donaldson had to speak a lot over the next year. Preparation slowly began for life. As the future crown princess, she received intensive Danish language lessons for 3 hours a day, which included conversational speech writing style. The royal family gained wisdom from reading newspapers and Matador, drawing lessons from both their successes and their failures. As the future crown princess sat on the couch in the garden hall of Fredericksborg Castle during the press conference, she began by saying, "Good day. Before we begin, I would like to say a few words. I am very happy to be in Denmark, so I'm sure you understand that I'm a bit nervous." Prince Henrik had spent most of his life being criticized for not being able to speak Danish, while Princess Alexandra, Mary Donaldson's closest colleague, received applause for her exceptional Danish language skills. Maybe this was the impetus for Mary and the advisors to the royal family's decision to speak Danish when she first met with the international press. However, the choice didn't quite work out as planned. After this, she uttered a series of clumsy Danish words accented heavily by an Australian before the press began to ask questions. According to Jacob Journo, the royal commentator at Berling, the journalists weren't accustomed to asking questions in English when the crown princess began speaking Danish. This led to an awkward moment, and it became apparent that Mary Donaldson struggled to understand and answer many questions. Despite her nervousness and uncertainty, the press conference went well, and the Danes loved it.